Peace and blessings in this corner, boxing 24. Hope all is well. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm doing pretty good myself. Can't complain. God is good and God is great. All right. So yeah, what I want to talk about today, man, is I want to get into Shakur Stevenson, man. I want to talk about Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, the fight that's coming up in 2 weeks. I mean, I know, yeah, Errol Spence and Ugas is this weekend, but I'll talk about that as I get closer to the fight. I'll talk about that, when we get to the weigh-in, because I already talked about that fight. But I want to talk about Shakur because he did a recent interview, man, and I see a lot of maturity coming from him, man. His fight game is getting better, and he's also growing up, man, mentally, man. The answers that he gave in the interview, man, shows a lot of maturity. And so I just wanted to really talk about that. Shakur Stevenson is fighting Oscar Valdez, of course, 130 pounds on April 30th in Vegas. And, this is a fight that's really going to put him over the top, And one of the questions he was asked in the interview was about his pound-for-pound status. And he was humble, man. He said that he think he should be number 5 on the pound-for-pound list after this fight with Valdez, right? And, I think he should be, definitely in the top 5, no question top 5. And if you want to even say, maybe even, pardon me, maybe even in the top 3. Because, that's the kind of work he's doing. After fighting Jamel Herring and beating him in the fashion that he did, and then, if he beats Oscar Valdez, what I believe he will, yeah, he definitely got to be in that top 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, man. He got to be there, because, who else is there that's fighting the fights that he's fighting and fighting the fighters that he's fighting, So you got Terrence Crawford. Of course, you got Javon Enos. And then you got Errol Spence. Well, yeah, Canelo's always going to be number 1. So now after Errol Spence, man, it's basically like you just take your pick. You know what I mean? That's really how it goes. But Shakur Stevenson, man, he's humble, man. He's growing, right? So he was asked about the fight with Oscar Valdez, and he said that he didn't want to give a prediction. He just said, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him in good fashion. That's it. He didn't say he was going to knock him out. He was going to punch. He just said, I'm going to beat him. Even though I know he's confident in his skill and that he is going to, try to punish Oscar Valdez and knock him out. But he just said, I'm going to beat him, bottom line. I'm going to get them belts. So, looking forward to that fight. I think Shakur Stevenson, he was also asked about, his power. And, he said, listen, man, he gonna see a strong fighter. He said Oscar Valdez is gonna see if they thinking that I can't punch, okay. He said we're gonna see on April 30th. He said, but he gonna see a fighter that's standing right in front of him, and a fighter that he's not gonna be able to back up, a fighter that he's not gonna be able to just walk through. So he's saying right there, man, that he's gonna be coming, and he gonna keep Oscar Valdez honest, and I believe he do have a hard enough punch to keep anybody honest, and definitely Oscar Valdez. Okay, we know the speed is there, the boxing skills, and he said his defense is going to be A1. So when he was asked about the fight with Lubin and what happened with Erickson Lubin, who was a friend of his, he said it was hard seeing Erickson Lubin take that punishment like that, but he said he wished he had showed a little better defense. So then he was also asked, well, how did that make him feel seeing that fight? And do he need to step up his game? And he said, no, I don't compare myself to other fighters like that because I fight the way I fight and they fight the way they fight. So he said his defense is good, and he constantly works on his defense, and he's getting better and better, and he's going to keep getting better. And his defense is going to be A1 for the fight with Valdez. So he said he don't put himself in that equation, but he did feel bad about seeing Lubin lose that way. He got a lot of heart, but he said it was a good stoppage, because it was only going to get worse. And he's right about that. It was a good stoppage. His face, he looked like he had 2 faces. He looked real bad. And so I'm glad that it was stopped as well. Could live to fight another day. So, Shakur Stevenson, man, lastly was asked about the issue between Tank and Floyd Mayweather. Now, we know that, Shakur talked about recently how he was gonna go with Floyd, but the reason he didn't go with Floyd, and it was a few factors why he didn't go with Floyd, but he felt like he wasn't going to be able to be his own man and do some of the things he wanted to do if he would have went with Floyd. He felt like Floyd was going to have too much control over his career. And so when he was asked about Tank and Floyd and the issue that's happening with them, and supposedly Tank leaving him after this last fight on the contract, which we really don't know if that's going to happen. That's what's being said. But then I've also saw things that said that they, are reconciling and they might work it out. And then Tank saying something possibly or maybe about, if they show some more money and more love and stuff like that. So I don't know. We don't know if that's going to happen. But the point is, Shakur was asked about it, and he said, listen, he don't really know all the details. He don't know all the facts. So he said, listen, I'm going to stay out of that. I'm not going to piggyback on that issue, And that's very wise and mature of him, because it's easy for him to just jump on that bandwagon and say something about Tank or say something about Floyd and feed right into the controversy. You know what I mean? And for a young brother like that, man, that's very smart to do that. Okay, because we just tear each other down sometimes, man, for nothing. We really don't need to do that. Especially when we don't know everything that happened. We don't know all the facts, man. We should stay away from that. I'm a boxing analyst. I could talk about certain things that I see and hear, and I could talk about Floyd, and I feel like Floyd, is, with all the money that he has, he's very insecure. Just the fact that he's possibly fighting on May 14th. Like, why would you want to fight on May 14th, whether it's exhibition or not? And Jamel Charlo is fighting the biggest fight of his life on May 14th. And Javon Brutinas is on that card. Like, why would you want to, why that date? Why you couldn't pick another day? Say, nah, I'm not going to overshadow that, because I know some people are going to try to pay attention to what I'm doing. That's a whack move right there. Weak move, but that's what he does. And that's what he's probably going to do. Okay, that's Floyd Mayweather. He's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. But one thing you do know from his actions and from the things that he says, he's very insecure with all the money that he has. All right, so probably was a good move, man, that Shakur didn't go that route. I don't like Bob Arum, and I don't think he should stay with Bob Arum. But if it's working for him right now, then let him do what he do. We know the reason he got that Oscar Valdez fight is because Bob Arum was just trying to show that he's fair to the fighters and black fighters in particular. And so because he had to fall out with Terence Crawford and he left and he said he was going to sue him, he said, well, let me put Shakur Stevenson in his fight, because really he didn't want Shakur Stevenson to have that fight. He wants Shakur Stevenson to fight Navarrete, and he was going to let Oscar Valdez move on. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't going to allow Shakur Stevenson to get that fight with Valdez. But when that happened, then he made it happen to try to make Terence Crawford look like the things that he was saying wasn't true. So we know how Bob Arum is. He's a slick dude. You know what I mean? So we're grateful, man. We're glad that Shakur Stevenson is going to get the shot that he's getting, man. And I'm looking forward, like I said, to a great fight on the 30th, man. I believe he's going to show out very much with Oscar Valdez. I think he's going to stop Oscar Valdez. He's going to punish him, And, ducking season is over, like he said, man. He's going to put it on him. All right, so peace and blessings in this corner boxing 24. And hope everyone has enjoyed the rest of their day. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. Protect yourself. COVID is still here. Hasn't went anywhere yet. So don't sleep, all right? Peace and blessings in this corner boxing 24.